I think you know that the Liberal Party of Canada is intellectually bankrupt by the fact that they keep rolling out Housing Minister Sean Fraser to talk about the Liberal government's housing agenda. Like, if I'm running the Liberal Party of Canada, the two rules I would immediately make up on day one is that Sean Fraser isn't allowed talking and nobody's allowed talking about housing, because those two things are deeply unpopular. Sean Fraser, despite the fact that the Liberal Party keeps trying to market him like Trudeau 2.0 and that the housing agenda is helping get Canadians into affordable homes, it's all a lie. Everyone sees it, so stop doing it. And now Sean Fraser has this weird like fan edit video on his X account where he's like trying to market himself as like a cool, like hot, successful guy helping Canadians get into a home. And it's just, one, incorrect, and two, nobody's buying it. And when nobody's buying it, you got to stop trying to sell it. So Sean Fraser in this expo says, home ownership shouldn't be a pipe dream. You shouldn't have to take another job just to make your rent. No Canadian should go to bed without a roof over their head. Over the last year, we've been working to solve this crisis. Here's a recap of some of that work. And can I please just say before we get to the video here, and hopefully this video doesn't get hit with a copyright strike because they keep playing a lot of music in their videos. Like, why would you say over the last year we've been working to solve this crisis? So are you admitting that you haven't been taking the crisis seriously for the past year? Like, this is just like only until the past year you've been taking it seriously. The other 8 years, who cares? Only this last year we've been trying to solve it. Really, what he doesn't want to admit here is that this is like version 3 of the Liberals' attempt to try and lower the price of housing. It doesn't work because their immigration rates are crazy high. Sean Fraser should know this because he was literally the immigration minister who ended up contributing to these massive 1 million spikes in population over a single year. But the idea that we're going to pretend that now we're taking the issue seriously, now we're going to try and make sure that we can lower the price of housing, it's like, it doesn't work. And now there's this really cringy video that goes along with it that, if anything, I find most people just think is insulting, knowing how badly they've been performing on this portfolio.
The Honourable Sean Fraser, Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
We're joined now by Sean Fraser.
Today we're announcing a new path forward, and we're starting here in London. We're going to use federal leadership and federal funding to change the way that cities build houses.
How is that different from what they were doing previously? Previously, the Liberals' plan was, through Liberal leadership and funding, we're going to get more houses built. They've done that in different iterations for like the past 5 or 6 years. It hasn't helped because to even take federal money, you must now follow federal regulations. And to follow federal regulations, you need a lot more lawyers, consultants, and other people who you have to pay out a lot of that federal money to just get anything underway. So it ends up just being completely worthless. It's like back in 2009 when Barack Obama became the US president. His stimulus package to build infrastructure around the United States and create shovel-ready jobs was a complete like clown show, because in order to get the money, you had to follow so many increased federal labor regulations, environmental regulations, and all this other stuff that you burned through all the money just hiring people to help you navigate all the rules, help you, work with unions to get your labor from unionized workers only, because that was a federal regulation, and all this other stuff. That's exactly what's happened here. And that's why house bills have not gone up. Yes, it will go up a little bit one year, but that's compared to the previous years where it's been down. So even when progress is made, it's only a little bit of progress compared to the previous year, which is not progress at all because it's been going down for multiple years and we've barely ticked up. In fact, in some places in Canada, housing starts are actually going down, but I'll show that chart in just a little bit here.
Vancouver has become the latest city to make a housing deal with the federal government.
Vaughan has become the second municipality in Canada to sign on to a program
The federal government has struck a deal as Toronto grapples with the housing affordability crisis. Ottawa is providing nearly $500 million to help with the housing demand.
New construction for apartment buildings, rentals specifically, are going to be exempt from the GST. So that'll be
I think you get it. I think you get it after just watching that little bit of that video. The idea that you're going to like swamp people with like all these little things we've done. Look, we've signed a deal with this city and that city and this city, and we have the new GST rebates and all this other stuff. The problem is people are still paying $1.3 million for a crack shack in Vancouver. And so nobody's looking at this and being like, wow, they're really working hard, because you, at the end of the day, have to balance all of your costs. And when you see that nothing's really improved for you as an individual, you're not going to look at this video and say, wow, Sean Fraser's so inspiring. Man, that he's a good egg. He just knows what he's doing. Nobody looks at this and thinks that this guy is in control and knows and is helping the problem at all. And I'm going to bring up the chart now here. This is the performance this year, and this is only 2024 so far. So they are still, at the end of the year, this could also turn even more negative than it is. Housing starts are up 7% this year so far. I will note that housing starts last year and the year before were down 5 or 6% per year for the last 3 years. So this isn't even like a good number. This is just like what it was like back in 22 when housing starts were also down. But housing starts are down in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario, BC, and they're only up in Quebec and Alberta in terms of major population centers. This has not been successful. And you could probably give credit more so to Premier Legault and Premier Smith and previously Kenney for housing starts being up in those two provinces. Because if nationally housing starts are not consistently up everywhere, obviously the program isn't working. I always hate when I see people and they're like, housing starts are up in Alberta and they're up in Quebec and they're up nationally 7% in Canada. Okay, well, why are they down in Ontario, BC, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan? Oh, it must be a provincial government problem. Like, well, so it's the provincial government doing it, because it seems like it's the provincial government driving the success. Because in fact, the Housing Accelerator Fund deals were made quite recently in Alberta. They've been actually in place longer in places like BC and Ontario. And so really what this probably tells me is that when the federal government started meddling in those jurisdictions, those provinces started having house starts fall. But anyways, now I want to jump over to Pierre Poilievre responding to Sean Fraser and absolutely destroying the man. And he gives a very weak response. But this is what Pierre Poilievre says in response to Sean Fraser's post and his video. And he says, Sean, you have made housing a pipe dream by doubling the costs. You ran immigration, quote unquote, out of control, to quote your cabinet colleagues before you became housing minister, and spent billions building bureaucracy. Now you put out a vanity video of your best photo ops to put lipstick on the pig. And that's exactly what that video looked like. That's why nobody is convinced by it. It just looks like Sean Fraser is basking in the sun, basking in the light of achievements he hasn't actually achieved. It's just signing deals about nothing that we have not even seen if there's any fruits to it yet. Just because housing starts are up in Alberta and Quebec, where not a lot of housing deals have been signed, does not actually mean the federal program is working. The federal program is simply living vicariously through the work that the provinces are already doing or not doing, depending on the location. Anyways, now I want to jump over to what Sean Fraser said in response to this, because it was also embarrassing. Well, he's like posting photos of Poilievre holding up a piece of wood and talking about inflation, because I guess this is supposed to be embarrassing for Pierre Poilievre or something. So we have Sean Fraser here saying, Pierre, thanks for watching my video. I hope it gives you a break from using incel hashtags to find friends online, begging for the attention of the far right and posting weird wood videos. Remember to like and subscribe. Oh my goodness. I was supposed to show that on screen, but there you go. That's what he posted. Like, goodness, stop trying to use the weird moniker that the DNC is using down in the United States. The conservatives all the time get accused of trying to import American-style politics. It's literally always the left who does it in Canada. Bernie Sanders spoke at the last NDP convention. Hillary Clinton was at the last Liberal convention. Who are the conservatives inviting to their conventions? Nobody. Daniel Smith did an interview with Tucker Carlson. Wow, he's an interviewer. He did an interview with a public figure. It's ridiculous. Wow, I can't believe that. And he's going to go in response to Poilievre attacking him for his horrible record. He's like, you post incel hashtags, and it's going back to the stupid thing that when Poilievre posted a video, one of his communications people was just adding hashtags, and they added the hashtag MGTOW, which MGTOW stands for men going their own way. So it's like some anti-feminist thing. It's like, sure, dumb thing to do. Is that really your only attack? The fact that Poilievre did videos with wood where he was explaining inflation, that's weird to you? That he understands how inflation works? These people are just bad at politics. Like, again, if I was running the Liberal Party, The first two rules I would implement are Sean Fraser's not allowed to talk, and definitely nobody's allowed to talk about housing. These are just death of issues to talk about for the Liberals, because Poilievre can just point and say, housing prices are doubled. And that's all he has to say, because it's true. And Sean Fraser can't change that at all. I'm trying to work on how I say Fraser. There we go. I said it right. Because I always say Fraser, and it's not because I don't know how to say it. If I'm to call it an accent, my accent is mumbling. And so Fraser is the way I say it when I'm being lazy. So it's Fraser. Fraser. I'm in the Fraser Valley, and his name is Sean Fraser. I've seen so many people in the comments pointing out to me that I say it wrong, and I couldn't in my mind even figure out what was wrong with how I was saying it until somebody like really sounded it out for me. Anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. If you want to help out the show, you can donate to the legal fund in the description below. It's the Give, Send, Go link. We have a Chinese billionaire suing us for like $900,000. I've spent $32,000 so far defending us with legal costs. So it's going to go well. The guy's running away from us now, even though he was the one who started the lawsuit over absolutely nothing. So anything you contribute to that really helps us out. And if you live in BC, there's also a donation link for the BC Conservatives in Abbotsford South. I'm helping the BC Conservatives take out the BC NDP and David Eby. So if you're in this province, make sure you contribute to the BC Conservatives. The NDP and United and the Greens all have these massive fundraising advantages where taxpayers have to pay them for every vote that they had every year in order to, like, I don't know, reimburse them for campaign expenses. They also get 33% of their campaign expenses back the year after the election. It's absolutely wild, all the money that the BC NDP and United and the Greens get for free, and the BC Conservatives are starting from scratch. So if you can contribute anything, you get 75% back, up to $100. Consider donating that to the link below. It really helps us out, and we're going to try and take in as much money through Abbotsford South as possible, and then distribute it to other ridings in the area that need the help. Anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. Have a good one.